What is up, Giants? New York Giants. All right, today on an episode of Dynasty Pylon, we were talking about the New York Giants. What has happened in the last couple of years? What possibly what they need to do? We're going to talk about Dynasty. What I think assets you might want to trade for, get once we get to the roster, and then the rookies. How well this is going to impact them. How I feel like the moves they made on what how well I think is going to really secure maybe some wins for this team. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to talk about the predicted record. We're going to add it to our playoff prediction if they make it or not. Stay tuned. Let's talk a little Giants today. New York, what is up? What is up, Derpy? How are you? Feel like Daniel Jones? Hey, look, I don't know. It you can't blame a guy. So Derpy comes in and says he sucks. All right, awesome. Well, let's start it off the right way, huh? I disagree. You can't really blame a guy when he only played like freaking 6 games. So, um, but there's a lot of things going on. Let's face it, Derpy. He really didn't have much of a line to go off of. In theory, they have that's been the issue. So I mean, 2 years ago, what was it? 2022, they went 9-7. There was a little bit of hope there. They kind of made the playoffs. I think they lost in the first round of freaking playoffs and wild card. So it didn't really help what they were doing. Like it sucked at that moment in 2002 because they're like, okay, maybe the draft will help them. Maybe they'll go after an Oline to fix themselves. And by the way, in 2002, Daniel Jones had an amazing year. Okay, that guy threw over, what was it, 3,200 yards, which is probably the best he's done in his entire career. He ran for like 700 yards, rushing alone. So, I mean, and then I think he threw 15 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, which, if you ask me, for that ratio, for him being there in the Giants with no line, is actually not that bad. But again, that was 2022. I know we're 2024. I'm like, oh, why are we talking about 2 years ago? Well, the only reason I bring that up is because that was pretty much the only best healthy year that he had. And then all the years before that weren't as great, but he still had a quarterback rating over 160. So, and then the thing is, obviously with the moves that they made, it's yeah. Uh, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But again, Daniel Jones is he's still at the helm. So last year only 6 games, didn't really do a lot. Getting chased around, and he did really bad in those 6 games. He went 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. It was disgusting. But he was at 900 yards already within those games. So he probably would have easily broken maybe 3,500 yards in the air had he played a full season. But I don't know how the interception ratio, because he was already at 2-6. So what is up, please? He's part of the problem, but not the problem. Yeah, no, and he's part of it. Yeah, and I agree there. But without the running back, he's going to run a lot more. Well, it's a good thing he can run. Let's just hope, as my co-host Brian says, he doesn't get hit by the trip monster when he's 10 yards. Like, I will never forget that, where he ran so good. That touchdown should have been his, and he got hit by the trip monster, as Brian says. And the guy can run. It's crazy. He doesn't look like a runner. He isn't like the best runner, but the guy is like a freaking Tin Man running down the field, and nobody can tackle him. I don't understand it, but that's Daniel Jones for him. Thinking into this draft, they were going to go possibly quarterback with all the rumors of Vikings moving up to get J.J. McCarthy. All that was saying, and they're like, oh, crap, maybe, they're going to go after a quarterback, to replace Daniel Jones, because at the end of this year, they can easily cut him this year and will really not have any much, big cap hit, really, because at the end of that, it's I don't think there's any guaranteed after that. So they can't get rid of him. And I'm not surprised if next year that they go after someone early. But but I don't want to talk about who they can get now because we haven't done the prediction on the record. I want to see the records first. Again, I haven't seen the schedule yet. I like to leave the schedule here at the end of the episode, every episode we do for each team. But it was just, yeah, he was hilarious. I think he's bouncing back this year. Depends on how the players, depending on the O-line, yeah. So, I'm actually thinking about it, and I'm actually a lot more surprised what I think. What I'm kind of looking here, but again, I leave the schedule. I try to not look at the schedule until I get to these episodes. So let's get to that. First foremost, again, 2002, they went 97, right? Thinking, okay, maybe they could do good if they draft right, they do the right things. Unfortunately, that did not happen. The following year, last year, they went 6-11. Not good. So what are we gonna do here? You stay at the spot, you move up. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get any of these receivers. You're gonna get a quarterback. They had a lot of decisions to make, and they sat at the 6. They didn't really do much, and they went and got themselves a playmaker. Why? Because they lost a playmaker, right? So yeah, they had to redo it. However, before the draft, they did really make some good moves. I do like what they did. It's not entirely total shambles. They worked on some of the line to get some depth. Not like anything stellar. It was like Aaron Steiny and Austin Schlottman, like guys to get in there at the guard. But then they got themselves a backup under Drew Lock. Then they got Devin Singletary. He's not entirely the worst running back, but he can get things done. He's no Saquon. He's no, like any of these top elite guys, but he can get it done. We've seen him be productive. Presumably he's going to be the main back there. So I'm not entirely too worried about him. Like in Dynasty, if I were to get him, I wouldn't trade too much of a high asset on him, but something probably to get some depth into your run room. I think he'll be okay. As for the defense side, I absolutely love what they did on defense. They brought in Brian Burns. Obviously, Carolina was like, they couldn't afford him. They couldn't. So unfortunately, Brian Burns left the Panthers. Too bad, so sad, whatever. The Giants got him. They picked him up. Now the Giants have him to this, like, the Giants, if I'm going to tell you right now, the Giants' defense is going to look amazing, at least from my standpoint, what I think it's going to be, except for maybe the DBs. But, again, they did address that as well in the draft. So, but Brian Burns coming in, obviously, I think it was a really good move for them. They traded, signing I would think it was like 5 years, 150 million. So good for them. And it's a lot of money. I get it, but it is Brian Burns. He's one of the best. This guy gets at least 8 sacks a year. So he's going to produce pressure to all the quarterbacks, especially in this division. With the Bills, we don't know, like their standards aren't as good. The Dolphins are like speedsters, and the Patriots are still working on what they're doing there in their franchise, and they're working their way up as well. So this division is oh, crap. I'm thinking the wrong AFCs. I'm sorry. NFC East. Holy crap. Ixnay what I just said. I'm thinking the wrong division. Sorry guys, I did the Patriots not too long ago, but sorry, my apologies. My apologies. We got we got Washington, Dallas, and the Eagles. Oh my god, where am I going? Yeah, so let's just that's embarrassing. That's it. So Washington, obviously, I think they could it's going to be interesting with them. They could probably beat them. And then the Eagles is probably going to be their biggest rivals here, and maybe potentially the Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys didn't really do much in the offseason, but hey, so that's good for everyone in that division. They didn't really do anything besides bring back old man Zeke, so it's like whatever. And then the high flying Eagles, they do what they do, and they sneak their wins, but then they just can't clutch. So as for Giants goes, there's a lot of things going on here. Of course, with the rumors of Darren Waller potentially, honestly, guys, he might probably retire, and if he does, and presumably if he does, that's probably a good thing. I know that sounds bad, but the Giants are broke. the Giants they're really broken. If they have any injuries, they're not going to be able to sign anyone off waivers. If Waller retires, right? I think they get themselves what, 6 to 7 million, which is probably a 1-year deal for somebody. If it's, I don't even know. Yeah. But Derpy says I feel like Dallas window is closed. Yeah, it's close to the no, and they're similar. I don't know. Yeah, my apologies. I went to the wrong division. New York, another New York team. Come on, give it to me. Stupid me. I get it. But yeah, no. The Dallas window has closed. I don't even know if they even had it open. Let's just be honest. Dallas had a wide open window for 30 years, and they just cannot, do anything. So it's just, yeah, they can't jump through it. They open it, and they say, hey, what's up? We're here. And they just can't jump through it. So it shuts on them every single time. So it is what it is. But we're not talking about that. So before I go on, let me again address, Brian Burns, Devin Singletary, Drew Lock, all good. Jack Stoll, Chris Manhurst, 2 tight ends right there. Jalen Mills, a safety there. And Isaiah McKenzie, a corner. Nick McLeod got in as well. So they brought in guys to help out this roster. The first 3 guys that I mentioned are pretty much like the main, for depth and to actually, because Singletary and Brian Burns are going to probably start right away, obviously, because it's not a pretty picture there in the line. We've seen this for years. The line has been detrimental, and I'm looking at this roster for the first time. I feel like this could be the best line. It could be the best line, but it's still a work in progress. So yeah, let's talk about these rookies, who they brought in. Obviously, Malik Neighbors, they brought in with the 6. Let me put that overlay up for you guys. There you go. So Malik Neighbors, obviously from LSU, the number 6 pick there. They could have gone quarterback because it seems like everyone was going quarterback, but they decided to go Malik Neighbors. They still have Daniel Jones for the year. I see why they made that decision, but next year's quarterback isn't like, if they don't land. Now, depending on how well they do, right? If they do another bad season, they could land themselves maybe Sanders. But Sanders out of Colorado, or Ewers out of Texas. So I just don't know how it's gonna apply. So they're running with Daniel Jones, who can get it done. Malik Neighbors, obviously, is going to be that explosive guy. He's probably going to be their best asset there, especially if Darren Waller's leaving. This is Darius Slay's team. I still think that it's his team still, regardless. I know Malik Neighbors is essentially going to be everyone looking at him, but I still think Darius Slayton is still good, guys. He's still good. I don't see him not being the number 1. Eventually Neighbors could work himself into the number 1, but I still think that Darius Slayton is still the guy, as long as he's healthy, of course, because that guy can't stay on the field for a while and then he's banged up. So Darren Waller's presumably, if he leaves, right, he retires. He's been talking about it. They brought in our 4th round pick here, Theo Johnson at Penn State. Who's probably going to back up Daniel Bellinger. And Daniel Bellinger isn't half bad. I think he's pretty good. He's not too bad of a tight end. He's still young. He's still getting into the ropes, so he can still do it. Again, for Dynasty, I wouldn't mind getting Daniel Bellinger. As a matter of fact, I think Daniel Bellinger is a good target to get in Dynasty right now. I'm not going to spend like a high 1st or 2nd on him, but I'm willing to throw like a 3rd or a 4th for them and see what the owner has. Hopefully they have other tight ends, but Daniel Bellinger isn't a half bad guy to get. Especially with the talks of Waller potentially leaving, and if not next year. So you'll have the next guy up, and Daniel Bellinger will start. I liked him rookie year. I really did. I liked him when Waller was not in. Bellinger was the guy, and he seemed to be like the favorited guy. So I'm not too worried about there at the tight end spot, because he can get it done. and he's still young. He's getting better. Just give us some time. I do like this third pick they did and the second pick, Tyler Nubin, and Andrew Phillips, especially Andrew Phillips. These guys are going to start right away. The DBs here in this defense, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks, and I hate to say that, but they do. They lost McKinney, Xavier, so it's a lot of big shoes to fill. So that's the help they're going to need. Hopefully these guys can bring it. They addressed it at second and third round. These guys are going to start right away. I like that. And I'm glad they went there because the rest of the defense is really good. I mean, this line, guys, when we get to it, this line is nasty. Okay. So, and Derby says, I really like Nubin. Yeah, no, the Nubin pick was really good for them. So good for them. I mentioned Theo Johnson, obviously. And then they went running back again here with Tracy Jr. out of Purdue. Good there. I like it. I'm not hating it either. Again, if you have Singletary and Eric Gray supposed to be like still good, I don't really believe in him much. I think, Tracy could outdo him. But again, when your best guy is Devin Singletary, it's a little worrisome. It's just a little worrisome to me. But he's going to get majority of the workload. And I think that Tracy and Gray will probably swindle their way in and fight for the RB2 spot. It wouldn't surprise me if those two guys kind of come in 50-50 as a backup. So 50-50 with primary, and then so I'd say 50-25-25. That makes sense. So yeah, that's what I think what's going to happen here. Maybe I don't think they'll go committee. I think it's going to be more lean to Singletary because he's the guy who can actually get it done more than these guys. And then the last pick here at 6th round, they didn't really have 7. So Darius Mayasu, linebacker of UCLA. They needed linebacker help. I don't think he'll make the team. Obviously, for roster construction, he's going to probably make the team. I don't think he's going to start over Ojulari or Bobby Okereke. Like, I just don't think it's going to even. Michael McFadden is really freaking good. And then Isaiah Simmons, who I lost hope on Isaiah Simmons, by the way. If you have Isaiah Simmons on your roster for IDP, dude, just get rid of him. Like 100%. I had so much hope for this guy, but just drop him. Just drop him. Just Darius might actually have smart play more over him. And it's crazy because Simmons was so good at Clemson. I don't know what happened, but I don't know. The Cardinals just killed his career. I don't know what happened here, but it is what it is. So yeah. Anyways, that's the rookies. And then free agency, so they brought in some guys, they brought in some help. I think they did the right moves. Obviously, with the line still kind of needing help. I think they Andrew Thomas is getting better. Okay. I'm not saying it's I liked him in 2020 when they drafted him. Like, that is a very good pick. And then last year they brought in Evan Neal, a very good pick. Michael Schmidt, a very good pick. They went line again in the second round. So they're doing something with this line. It's just they're getting readjusted. They're becoming better. They're becoming veterans. They're getting better. So this line isn't half bad, right? It was just very young last year, and it was they were getting adjusted. Then they brought in Jermaine. I can never say his name, but out of Las Vegas, left guard, Alumanor. So again, they're doing things for this line. Now they don't have Saquon Barkley, obviously, who was pretty much arguably like the guy they ran the entire offense off of, especially since last year they didn't really have Daniel Jones. So it kind of sucks. But we'll see what Brian DeBall does and Mike Kaffner does and Shane Bowen do. Those are the coaches. Those are the offensive and defense coaches. Let me bring up the roster so you guys can see it. If you guys are listening on Spotify, I'm sorry, but it is Dynasty. Like we're doing this live, so I do all these episodes live as well. So, but here you are. So, let's go offense. Obviously, Daniel Jones at the helm. Drew Lock is back with Tommy DeVito. I almost said Danny. So Danny DeVito. Can you imagine that guy would get murdered? Tommy DeVito, which we all kind of like loved towards the end, his family, his agent. It was just a good vibe. When they won, awesome, but it wasn't enough. Obviously 6-11 isn't the team to get to the playoffs, obviously. So but it was a good, it was nice to see what the kid can do. Um Especially from his background of, just we didn't really thought this guy was gonna even play anyway. So um I have more hope for Tommy than Daniel. No, and I think that's, we kind of fell in love with them last year. So you're not wrong, Derpy. You're not wrong. But they brought in Drew Lock, who, again, I've given up on many years ago, but coaches still bring him on. Seattle believed in him a little bit. But he didn't really pan out. Why? Because Gino just outplayed him. So I don't think he's going to be the second guy behind Daniel. I think it's going to be Tommy. But hey, according to this roster right now, it's looking Drew Lock might be the guy at number 2. He could be number 1, but I do think that Daniel Jones should be back from his injury by week 1. I don't expect Daniel Jones throwing anything crazy during preseason. Hopefully he's probably back by week 1. If I hope they're smart and they don't rush him back if they don't need to. But we see these NFL teams, they don't care. They just do it. They say he can play, then they play him. So as for the rest of this, we have Malik Neighbors, probably why they have number 1, but I honestly think it's still Slayton's team. Wando Robinson, who has every now and then splash here and there to make good plays. Allen Robinson kind of still surviving around on Jalen Hyatt, who they brought in the 3rd round, last year. Hopefully can do, have a better year. Maybe you have that better slot receiver there, because I did believe in Jalen Hyatt. I do like him, but again, if Robinson's out playing you, man, why? And then Isaiah McKenzie, who they brought in from Indianapolis, so they have guys here. But Malik Neighbors and Slayton obviously are going to be the 1 and 2, and those guys are very good enough to get the ball moving, especially with Daniel Jones. And then I'm not going to count Waller right now. I just can't until I actually see the final and they actually sign him. Again, I'm expecting him to retire. So if you have him in Dynasty, and might as well just trade him now, maybe get it off. I don't know if you guys have league, policies where you can hold them for the next 2 years. We do. By the way, I suggest that for Dynasty. If a guy retires, make like an unwritten rule that team of that owner, as long as they're on that roster, right? If they're on that roster and he retires while he's still on the roster, we have a 2-year window where that owner still has rights, or team, because if the guy retires from fantasy football and then the new owner comes in, that team that had Darren Waller still has rights, just in case he comes back. That way, not everyone, it's just because you can't, you weren't planning on getting rid of him. You weren't planning that, but he retired. So it's like, okay, well, he retired at a young age. That sucks. And then I feel like you could talk to your league mates about it, but that's kind of what I think all dynasties should do. Have like a window period. We have a 2-year window period. After the 2 years, like if you're on Sleeper, you can go to the notes page, click on that player. There's a little league notes on there. What I like to do as a commissioner, I go in there, I put league notes. Such and such retired on this day, like today. Say he came out on June 4th of 2024, right? Say he came out, I'm retiring. It's actually after the 1st, so they didn't after the 1st of June 1st, he could probably do that. But yeah, June 4th, 2004, so June 4 of 2026. So he would no longer have the rights to that. He or she, whoever the owner was at the time, no longer has rights to that owner. And then on June 5th, everyone can throw in a waiver claim. That's what we kind of do. Again, it's just a suggestion. I like it. You don't have to do it. Whatever you guys have doing on your dynasty rosters, awesome. But yeah. Derpy, what if Neighbors does terrible? If he does terrible, Well, we've seen first round draft picks do bad. Teams normally hold on and they try and give him another year. They keep him on the spot for like his sophomore year and give it another go. Usually by that third year, they just absolutely draft someone higher than him, or they just bring in veterans. The latest first round pick that I can think of right now, Treylon Burks, for example. The Titans traded AJ Brown to Philadelphia. Treylon Burks was supposed to come in for the Titans, which ironically I'm doing the Titans later on today, so we'll talk about that later. And it just hasn't panned out. And what do they do in the last couple of years? They brought in D-Hop and they brought in Calvin Ridley. The moment Calvin Ridley came in, I'm like, this guy's done. This guy's career is over. Dynasty rosters, he's probably going to end up being on waivers a lot because Dynasty, you typically hold the guy about 3 years, 4 years. If he doesn't do anything with his career on Dynasty rosters, you kind of just drop him, which essentially it's sad. I probably have to do myself. So because I believed in that guy, I think I drafted him at the 108. So it is what it is. It happens. They don't pan out to do, but I don't think Neighbors is going to be that guy. I don't think so. I think Neighbors is going to probably be very good for a while. A lot of people are scared because of what he landed on the Giants. I understand the scarce of it. They're like, oh, I don't know who's going to throw to him. He could be another DJ Moore, and it doesn't even matter who's thrown to him. He could just produce regardless. I think that for Malik Neighbors. The guy's going to produce no matter who's throwing. That's in my opinion. Of course, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but I think he's going to be very good eventually. If next year they decide to go bring in Sanders or even Quinn Ewers into the mix, with DeVito still in here, it could happen. He can hit 1,000 yards with maybe 5-6 touchdowns. I'm okay with that. It's just, for a rookie to sophomore year, if that happens, and awesome. So, but overall, oh, hey, that's interesting. So right here in the middle of the episode, just got an alert. Where are my 49ers fans at? Something just happened right now. Happy days. First down news right now. Christian McCaffrey has signed a 2-year extension for the 49ers, averaging $19 million per year. So there you go. Christian McCaffrey is staying in the Niners for another 2 years. There you go. Shefty just dropped. Yep. Sorry, Derpy guy. Yeah. I beat you to it. You were typing. I get it. You were typing. It's cool. We got it at the same time. So yeah. Freaking Shefty. I was about to say, yeah, you're good. You're good. I got it. I don't get my alerts from him. Good dude, probably, but I no. All right, so let's focus on defense. Brian Burns. I love this. Bringing in Brian Burns, and this man's wearing a 0. That's awesome. Dude, this line has Dexter Lawrence, Jordan Phillips, and Kayvon Thibodeau with Ojulari swinging around and Boogie Basham. This line is going to be a running back's nightmare. Zeke, you just came back in the division. You ain't going to do anything. Saquon is going to have a hard time running against his old former team. All I got to say. That's just the front four. Bobby Okereke is a very good linebacker, and then Michael McFadden is a very good linebacker as well. This front seven is going to give him hell. I don't worry about Simmons. Whatever. You already heard how I felt about Simmons. Simmons is not. So you got Ojulari, Okereke, McFadden, and then Flott, who they brought in. Awesome. Last year. I just, again, the DBs I'm worried about. They can't, you can't tell me you're relying on Deontay Banks and Hawkins and Holmes. You just can't. You win in second pick and third pick on DBs. So it says a lot, especially with Xavier leaving. It changes the way this defense runs. So you have to address it. Newbin and Phillips are going to come in and do their thing. What's up, Anthony? That's the kicker's Giants. No, Barkley. What? That's the kicker. Giants. No, Barkley's weak. All right. I'm sorry. Either I'm not understanding what you're saying here, Anthony. I'm sorry. That's the kicker. Maybe Giants know Barkley's weakest. Oh, they knew they know what he's weakest at. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what I'm gonna piece this together. I think that's what you're trying to say. Okay, all right. So yeah. But again, Barkley's gonna have a struggle bus here. This line is nasty. I think it could be one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. Like, that is a lot of talent, right? Just sitting there with Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Jordan Phillips, Thibodeau, Ojulari. If they run like 4 or 5 guys on the line, Boogie Basham, it's amazing. So they know his weakness. Okay, all right. See, that's what I thought you were trying to say, dude. That's what I thought you were trying to say. They know his weakness. Yes. So again, the Giants defensively, running game, I don't think they're gonna get on them. They could run this, they're gonna have to try and throw on these guys. But if Newbin and Phillips kind of like are really good with Deonte Banks and Jason Pinnock, like they can make it happen. Like it's this team can be good on defense. It's the offensive part that they're gonna have to worry about. With health wise, this team is very interesting to what I think is gonna happen. But again, let's look at the schedule. Well, before that, obviously for dynasty purposes, let's see. I said if you have Darren Waller, I suggest get rid of him before he actually retires. Again, that's going to hinder your decision there because we don't know if he's going to retire or not. I think he will. I think it's going to be beneficial for them as well. They'll save a little bit of money because I think they're going to have to go into free agency and replace some of these guys here. Eventually, I think so. Let's see what happens. If they sign him, it would not surprise me if they sign Darren Waller. They're going to have to reconstruct Andrew Thomas's mad freaking contract over there, which is not going to be good for morale. So yeah, we might not see Waller there. Sorry, but not sorry. So Malik Neighbors, obviously, if you didn't get him in the draft, good luck getting him. You probably have to blow like two first on him, but I don't think you're gonna get him. Slayton might be the cheapest guy here. If you want to trade for Slayton, I would probably do it, but be worrisome that he might get hurt. He's kind of known for doing that. So if you trade for him, awesome. Daniel Jones could be a good backup. He should be back by week 1 from what we're seeing. But I'm Daniel Jones should be the guy here. Like, of these quarterbacks, it's gonna be Daniel Jones. And then Tommy will be behind him. I don't know about this Drew Lock stuff. I never really believed in him. He's shown flashes, but he's never been good enough for me that I think I'm going to go after him in dynasty rosters at all. Like, I'm not going to do it. Brian Burns obviously would play IDP 100%. And just pick a lineman. Brian Burns probably be your most expensive one. Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously, you're probably not going to get those guys. You probably have to give up a first or maybe a second, depending on your IDP scoring. Boogie Basham, and Ojulari could be acquired a little bit easier. Maybe throwing a third at them, and Dexter Lawrence and Phillips, they may or may not be, depending on your defensive line, DT heavy. They could be in somewhere in waivers. One of those 4 guys could be somewhere in waivers. Maybe just pick one. I think they're going to establish themselves at a good rotation. I think, and then with Micah and Bobby back there, McFadden and Okereke. Don't think Wagner or Parsons. It's Micah, McFadden, and Bobby Okereke. They're really good. So I would try and get them as well. I think if the offense sucks. We all know that IDP, if you have IDP, if the offense isn't producing, your IDP players are going to be on the field more. So, again, I'm getting one of these front 7 somehow, some way on my roster. I think they're going to pop off. Michael McFadden might be there somewhere in waivers. If not, you could probably throw in yourself a fourth or a third for him. I don't know if a lot of people are probably still realizing that this guy's this good. And then Okereke is probably on somebody's roster as well. So, but you could probably get McFadden. Check your waivers. I don't think a lot of people realize how good he was last year, and they didn't do anything at the linebacker spot. They're running with Okereke and they're running with McFadden. So yes, Anthony. Yeah, I love IDP just as much as you do. So yeah, I'm McFadden's one of those guys. If you don't get one of your rookie picks that you're trying to get out of the rookie draft, not to worry. I think that McFadden will produce enough to get. As a matter of fact, what did he do last year? Last year, let me pull it up real quick. Last year, Michael McFadden. I didn't look at his numbers specifically, but I know he did pretty good. 97 tackles, a sack, and a forced four fumble recoveries, and got himself an interception. And that's his sophomore year. So overall, he played 16 games, never got banged up. I like him. So if you're looking for a linebacker and you don't get any of those juicy picks up in the draft, that's fine. You could always fall down on Michael McFadden. He could be available there. So he could be that sleeper pick. Could be that sleeper pick for your linebacker core. So is Burns on the same level as Roquan? I'm not going to say that. And it has nothing to do with talent. They're both talented players. I'm just going to say that I'm never going to put them on the same tier because they play different positions. Like Roquan is more like an actual linebacker where Burns is on the edge 90% of the time more than Roquan will ever be. So, but if you want to put on the same level as maybe like price wise, yes. If that's what you mean by this question on price wise, Brian Burns is going to be expensive to get. I don't think you're going to get him. Like, I don't even think the owner will even consider whatever you throw at them. Well, I mean, I'd probably sell him for 2 first, but I mean, I'm just saying, like in theory, I don't think that you're going to get Brian Burns off of anybody. Like, it's just Roquan, those guys. Yeah, he's just if guys are solid on IDP is way harder to reconfigure and adjust because they don't get as hurt as much as the offensive guys, and then things happen where you just get the next guy up and hope he does just as good as a starter on IDP. And like I said, if the offense sucks, IDP starters tend to do a little bit better. Why? Because they're on the field more. So again, let's get into this schedule, right? Haven't really looked at it, so we're doing this raw. Giant schedule. Here we go. They're opening with the Vikings. Awesome. Home, Vikings. Away, Washington. Away with Cleveland. Okay, and then we got Dallas for another home game. Then we travel again to Seattle, and then we got 2 games home. We got the Bengals and the Eagles. So right off the bat, week 7 is going to be interesting to see. Then we have week 8. We go to Pittsburgh. Then we got Washington again before the bye week, which is good. So you get rid of an entire team before the division even you got two games of the same team in the same division, kind of like you establish your dominance right away, early before your bye week. So if you beat them twice, you already know that you have the leverage over them on going into division playoffs. So yeah, then we go to the Panthers, then we have the bye week. So I'm already looking at some wins and losses here. Washington could be interesting. Depending on how well Jaden Daniels does over there with his offense, they could be very, very good. So it's kind of scary. I say they're going to split with the Commanders. Then maybe week 1 against the Vikings, I don't think they're going to be established yet with the new offense and everything. I think they're going to lose that, or I think the Giants are going to win that game. That one, home opener win, win against maybe Washington, or then go to Washington, lose maybe. Cleveland, I don't think they're going to be able to handle that offense. That offense, I don't think they're going to be able to handle freaking Myles Garrett and company. Like, it's just that defense might destroy them. I still think Dallas is going to be just as good as last year. I just don't think that. Yeah, let's look, Dallas. Look, Dallas is good. They just can't finish. And it's been like this for years. It's almost annoying, that to the point that their new roof sucks, and it's a high roof. So yeah. All right, we already got some predictions here. Okay. So yeah. And then after the bye week, we have the Buccaneers, and we travel back to Dallas. Then we have the Saints, the Ravens, and travel to Atlanta, and then we come back, and then this could be to be dated, determined on what it's going to happen these last two games. But it looks like the 28-29, and then we end the season here, ending as going to Philadelphia. So I don't know. The weird one here is going to be Seattle. Seattle at week 5. I think you can beat them. I think this defense is good enough to just destroy that, because their best players are the running backs and Geno. You throw these front seven at them, I think they're just gonna absolutely destroy them. So that's the good thing going on here. Bengals still have as okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say 5, no more than 6. Depending on how healthy these teams are at the end, because I'm looking at the Colts here at week 17 and the Falcons at week 16 here. Again, it depends on health. Is Rich going to still be there? He got banged up pretty early. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully he stays the whole season. I still like Richardson. I really do. The Falcons looks like they're upgrading on everything on offense, and last year's defense they have pretty much the same. So they upgraded a lot. The Falcons can be that big threat. They were starting to turn heads last year. But we just had no quarterback. So the thing is so I say we as because I'm a Falcons fan. So sorry. I know I'm doing the Giants episode, so I say a lot of we this because I'm covering the Giants. So but with that, I think I don't know how that's gonna happen, but that could be that 6th game there. Because supposedly they're pretty good right now, but I think I'm gonna say 5 for the Giants, and maybe 6 at most. So yeah, 3 and 3-9 before the bye week. Derpy says 5 as well. Am I undercover Dallas fan? No, I'm not. Why would you say that? Anthony, you've been here so many times. You know this. I'm probably the best one to do all these 32 episodes because I'm not going to be freaking biased by any point of any of these episodes. I love all 32 teams. I really do. Just the slight factor of the Falcons, but they suck. So I'm just so used to being beat up. It's fine. Seattle's much better team than New York. Yeah, but but the depth part by week 5, they are. You're not wrong, but depth wise, I'm scared for them. After Geno, who you gonna? They lost Drew Lock. Geno's there. Walker's always banged up. Charbonnet can probably get it done. Pete Carroll is not the guy, so I don't know. That's why I think 6, maybe. If they get 7, it wouldn't surprise me either. But I'm gonna say 5 here, and you kind of agree with the 6 as well. So I think it's last year Seattle compared to 2 years ago Seattle. There's a big difference there. It's a big difference. And the Giants aren't as bad as what everyone's throwing them at. It's this defense. If they can hold it together, they can get themselves 7 wins. I don't think they're gonna make playoffs. I don't think they're that good enough. I think it's gonna be another year, and maybe getting Malik Neighbors is actually pretty smart. because you got yourself a solid, wide receiver. With Dak potentially leaving, with Fields potentially leaving. Who else is on contract that I can't? Those are the first two that kind of like hit me in the face, right? First two quarterbacks that kind of like drop off. Free agency next year. If we go to, let me look here. Now you got me looking. Quarterback wise for 2020. Jordan Love's going to get re-signed. Sam Darnold could be eventually re-signed by the Vikings. We don't know. Caleb signed. Jaden Daniels, okay. I'm looking at if Jacoby Brissett. I like these are guys that are potentially there next year. Okay, like if they stay with Drew Luck, I don't know the quarterback situation for this year. I felt like getting Neighbors was good rather than going after JJ McCarthy. So, because the quarterback situation is going to be the biggest one. It wouldn't surprise me if next year they go quarterback for their number one pick and then get an offensive line. 1 and 2. That's what I think they'll do. Because next year they have all 7 picks plus Seattle's pick. So, it's this defense is going to have to hold a lot. And the offense right now, they don't have that big explosive piece. Again, like I said, I think Darren Waller is going to be gone. That's what I think. So this offense is going to be the main key focus that they're not going to win. So I agree. Derpy. It's the offense right now. I think defensively they're going to hold themselves together, but no, even okay. So this comment here, even if they brought in Ayuk, no. Why? They still don't have that is that the issue here is going to be who's going to be throwing next year. Like DeVito and Drew Lock, I don't think so. I think they're going to try and look for something higher than that. So yeah, I don't think that's but the players skip all the time. There's some guys that just don't. Like, are you talking about Daniel Jones? He's hurt. He's skipping mandatories. He's probably because he's hurt. You think Giants can beat the Saints? Carr making the Saints look bad. Look, the Saints have a lot more crazier things going on. I counted that as a win. They have a lot of things going on. The Saints, the Saints have way more things, bigger issues than just quarterback alone. It's that line, it's that defense. They're just getting older by the minute, and their talent that's coming in isn't that great. So I'm not. No, we'll talk about the Saints later. We're talking about the Giants right now. No, Ayuk is skipping because you're saying, dude, come on, man, you can't. Okay, so you put my Ayuk here. Okay, so Ayuk is skipping because of mandatory. Okay, I get you. Why don't you put that in one sentence? Maybe you're confusing me, my guy. There's a possibility on why he's skipping is because he's probably leaving. That might be a key indicator on why he's leaving. So, but again, these guys don't have to really come in. If they know their stars, sometimes they don't have to. Yeah, CD is skipping too. Like it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. And sometimes they get permission from their teams. Like, yeah, it's whatever. Like they've skipped, they get fined or whatever. It happens. And then media breaks out and, oh crap, we're gonna lose such and such. Yeah. All right. So what did we say? 5? We got a 6. Hold on. Let me look at these comments. What did you guys say? Hang on. I gotta bring up our playoff picture here for the season, guys. If you guys are ever in the episodes or something, again, drop the comments down below. We will add it there. Usually I do these live, so let's see. Where is my page for the New York Giants? There it is. I still got to work on this. So I do have the records, though, for the Chargers. I just didn't add the little division. So we're doing the Giants, right? And what did we say? 5-12. I also say 5-12, and then someone said 6 or max of 6. I don't think Anthony gave his. I don't think Anthony gave his is what it was. So we're going with 5. We're going with 5, which I think is very possible. Because I don't think that they have depth to survive the entire season. Injuries happen, guys. I don't want it to happen, but it happens. It's just the way it is. So let's put a 5 there. Let's actually make that white see better. Let's put it there. 5 for the New York Giants. Again, we do a collective community prediction. We're doing that this year. Last year we just kind of like went with it, but then again, that was also me and Mark, so I'm just doing it by alone this year. We're going with 5 wins. I also agree with that. I'm not hating that on it either. So there it is. 5 wins for the New York Giants. We'll get closer and closer as we closer to kickoff. We'll add more to this chart if you're here on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, then just swing by and you can see what I'm talking about. And you can see my ugly face. So yeah. Anyways, guys, that's it. Derpy, thank you for coming in. Anthony, thank you for coming in. Here's the schedule. Look, in a few hours, I'm gonna do another episode for the Titans. Okay, I'm doing 2 of them today because I'm falling behind. I know, so I'm doing 2 of them. So maybe in a couple hours, I'm gonna do, or not maybe, it is going to happen. I'm doing the Tennessee Titans here later today. So I'll be doing double episodes. And then I'm having like interview meeting session with someone as well. So we may or may not. That's besides the point. And then tomorrow morning I'll do the Falcons, and yes, on top of our Wednesday normal shenanigans, we're doing that. So we're getting the Giants, the Titans, and the Falcons 1, 2, 3 here really quick. And then we'll go back to the Vikings on Thursday, and then end it with the Jets on Friday, and then I'm going to continuously go from there. So again, life happens, things happen, I get burnt out, I just don't want to do the episode, so I just don't do it, or I can't come in for some other reason. But yeah, see you in a couple hours. We're doing the Tennessee Titans. I missed last year's for the Steelers. I can't wait for this year. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I remember you did. We were surprised because you were on almost all the episodes for and then you just kind of like the one episode you had to show up for, you weren't. So, all right, guys, there it is. New York Giants overall. What do I got to say? You've made some improvements. Your line is looking better. You've adjusted what you're doing, both defensively. The DBs you brought in, you're both 2nd and 3rd round picks, right? Malik Neighbors, I'm not hating that pick. I love that pick. Giants can make it happen. Giants can improve themselves. I just think they need to be a little bit smarter in the offseason rather than ignoring positions that they just don't want to upgrade. Because in the last couple of years, they haven't really been doing anything with that line except for Andrew Thomas, and they finally did it. Last year, they brought in Evan Neal, which is good. Next year, maybe another first-round O-lineman or something, the 2nd round. Don't go too far because your quarterback isn't going to do anything without a line, right? Essentially. So, yeah. Good luck, guys. I'm predicting 5. If you do more, awesome. More power to you. But I do believe you guys are still going to end up in the top 10 picks due to schedule-wise. I just think that next year you'll end up with either Ewers or Sanders as your quarterback if you guys go with that. But we'll see. Again, guys, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever the hell you guys are at. Have a good day. This is the New York Giants episode here on Dynasty Pylon. Join me later today as we take care of the Tennessee Titans breakdown, overview, whatever you want to call it. But again, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys later on the next one and tomorrow. Later.
Getting hyped when I aim up. Elevating that game up. Stepping up to the competition. Only first place, yeah, that's how I'm living.